Perfect. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending this meeting regarding your retirement plan. I am Melody with USI, and I'm the education specialist for your plan at Chateau Retirement. I usually come out and talk to you guys about getting enrolled and the importance of saving for your future and the great benefits of your plan. But today, we're going to have an educational topic on securing your financial future. So these are just a few things you need to think about as you're on that path to retirement planning. So in this meeting, we're going to talk a little bit about managing debt, estate planning, some things you need to do to prepare. And then again, as always, retirement planning. I do ask that everybody go ahead and put their phone on mute. If you do have a question along the way, please feel free to unmute and ask. We are recording this presentation, just so you know, for those who are not able to attend. So if you feel a little gun shy about asking a question on a recorded presentation, not a problem. We can, at the end, we'll stop the recording. You can ask a question later if that's better for you. So jumping into the presentation, how do you secure your financial future? I will say that securing your financial future does require a lot of different items to check through, but the first one is really going to be budgeting. Money coming in, money going out. Budgeting is something that we pretty much do all of our lives. It's not that one and done, forget it. We budget for the family vacation. We budget for the new flat screen TV that we want. Your retirement plan is no different. You need to budget for that. One of the things that we look at again, looking at where your money goes, assets and liabilities. How much money do I have coming in and where do I have my money going out? We do have a worksheet online that you can use for managing a budget, but I will say a lot of banking systems already have them. I bank with a little local credit union, and I know that they last year rolled out a new program for asset management and budgeting. So definitely a lot of companies now have those budgeting tools online that you can use. Definitely, I suggest going through your bank because that's usually where people have their debit cards and the direct deposit for their paycheck. They usually do everything out of one check, and it's usually a lot easier to manage from there. But looking at your assets, definitely money coming in. Where does my money come from? Not only my regular paycheck that I get from Chateau Retirement, but if you have a side job. For me, my side job or side hustle, as the kids now call it, I can say that being 52, as the kids now call it, your side hustle. I watch dogs part-time to make extra income, so that all goes toward me looking at my assets and money that I have coming in. The next thing you want to look at are your liabilities. What money do I have going out? How much do I pay for my rent or my car note or my car insurance? You can definitely go through some of your bank statements, but I really do think when it comes to budgeting, we all pretty much know where our money goes. We know how much we're spending in rent and our car insurance, homeowners insurance, things like that. So a lot of these you really shouldn't have to delve too far into to figure out what liabilities you have. But I do think it's very important to track and be aware of where your money's going. This is something that I personally do once a year. I go through my budget and look at my spending. A couple years ago, one thing that I did notice absolutely is that I was spending way too much in Starbucks. Starbucks makes it way too easy with the app and having it automatically tied to your credit card. And, I don't even need any cash on me. I don't need to swipe my card. I just show them my phone and they do everything there. And it became very easy not only to get my double caramel macchiato, but while you're there, you might as well pick up a muffin or get a croissant, something like that, and your $4 drink has now turned into a $10, $15 excursion at Starbucks, right? So just being aware of how your money's being spent is going to be very important. And again, as I said, budgeting is something that we're going to do throughout our entire career. When it comes to budgeting, we also look at credit cards because for a lot of us, credit cards are what we use to make it from paycheck to paycheck. After we spent that check and we don't have that excess money to get the gas, which is now at $5.10 a gallon, whew, or, pay for those extra groceries that we need. Some credit card facts that you really do need to think about and remember. The average interest rate right now is about 15.7%. 15% of families report spending more than they receive each month. The annual or the median credit card balance runs about $6,000. The average family has 4 credit cards, which, yep, I fit in that category. And 42% of families hold credit card debt from month to month. They just carry it over. So one of the things that we look at when it comes to credit card debt is really focusing on paying off that debt as fast as you can. Several years ago, I'm going to say about 15, 20 years ago, the credit card companies started doing something new. It was a requirement by the government. They said, going forward, a lot of people are in credit card debt and they really don't understand how interest works. So our government stepped in and told the Visas and MasterCards and American Expresses of the world, when you send your quarterly statements out, you need to let people know how long it's going to take them to pay that credit card off if they make the regular $20 payment, and then how long it's going to take them if they double that payment and increase it to $40 or $50. When it happened, that was definitely an eye opener for me when I got my first credit card statement, to actually see the amount of money that I was paying in interest and what the credit card companies were taking from me, made me change my spending habits. So just looking at this example on the screen again, we have Sarah, who has a $5,000 credit card balance. She pays $100 a month at 15.7% interest rate. It'll take her almost 30 years to pay it off. John, on the other hand, he doubles his payment. It'll take him about 10 years to pay it off. And he saved over $6,000 with avoiding those interest payments. So that's why a lot of times you see a lot of advertisements, people talking about, doubling down your payment. If your credit card says pay 50, pay 100 if you can. Pay that debt off quicker. Definitely easier said than done. But, if you can get in that habit of paying a little bit extra on the interest, get that credit card debt under control. And one of the keys with that is, please do not recharge that credit card. Okay. Unfortunately, it happens a lot of times. I hear it from so many people. I've worked so hard to double my payment and get it paid off. And then I just fell right back into that trap of, repurchasing things all over again. Christmas came and my kids wanted this and the new Xbox and whatever. And I just charged it up all over again. So, as you focus on paying off that credit card debt, it really is going to be, again, about budgeting yourself to make sure you don't fall back into that hole. Along with that, knowing your credit score is extremely important. Your credit score really dictates the interest rate that you're going to be charged on a lot of things. So when I open that Home Depot card, or I want to get a new car or buy a house, what that mortgage interest rate is going to be. Your credit score affects that. So knowing what your credit score is, making sure you're making your payments on time, keeping that high score is going to be extremely important. I do like to remind people that you can get your credit report for free once a year. It does not affect your score. There is a website, annualcreditreport.com, that you can go to get your report for free from all 3 of the bureaus. Please know that there are a lot of fraudulent websites out there. There is a website out there that is Annual Credit Card Reports with the S on the end. That's a fraudulent site. So please make sure you're going to the right one, singular, annualcreditcardreport.com, and you can get your report from all 3 of the credit bureaus. Now, one of the things that I do tend to tell people is that most of your credit bureaus have the same information. My payments on my mortgage, on my car note, on my HELOC, my home equity loan, all that's being reported to all 3 bureaus. So what happens is, if I pull my credit report once a year, if I pull it in June, and then there's fraud that happens in August, I won't catch it again until I run that report in June. And that could be a year later. So one of the things that I do suggest to people is that run each one of those reports every 4 months. Stagger how you're getting your report so that way you can catch something. So maybe in January, you run Experian, and then 4 months later, you run TransUnion, and then another 4 months later, you run Equifax. So that way you're spreading it out throughout the year, and you're more likely to catch anything that's fraudulent on a report as opposed to just doing it one time a year. But again, knowing your credit score and keeping that high credit score is really important for your future. Identity theft is a big one. There is a difference between credit card fraud and identity theft. Credit card fraud, I think, is what a lot of people go through. It's what most people go through, where your credit card company contacts you, or you're looking on your statement and you see a charge that you didn't make, and then you call your credit card company and they're like, oh, okay, we'll wipe that off, and then we're going to send you an affidavit saying that you weren't the person who made that charge. We'll cancel this account, send you out a new credit card. Easy peasy. Credit card, credit card frauds, definitely something that is a lot easier to correct. Identity theft is when somebody has gotten a hold of your social security number and opened up an account in your name. That is harder to dismiss. That's where you might have to hire a lawyer or go to a credit counseling service and get that fraudulent charge or those fraudulent accounts that have been opened off of your account. For some people, it takes years. It happened to my sister once, and it took her about 7 months to get the fraudulent information off of her credit card, or I'm sorry, off of her credit report, and then kind of rebuild her credit all over again. So it is something that happens. Definitely a couple things you can do to minimize that risk. Setting alerts on your credit cards and bank accounts. I know nowadays, especially with Visas and MasterCards out there, I have a Bank of America Visa, and every time I swipe my card, I get an alert on my phone. So I've set it up. Every time, it could be $1.50. I'm going to get an alert that charge has come through to confirm it's me. And I have had it happen. I've had a charge come through at 3 a.m. for Best Buy for $1,000 TV. I'm like, no, I was not up at 1 a.m. trying to purchase this. But one of the great things about technologies, I mean, pros and cons, one of the good things about it is Bank of America knows my spending habits, right? So they did not allow the charge to come through. They waited to get a response from me, and they sent me an alert through my phone. And then I actually called them. I called the number on the back of my credit card, and we confirmed it. Like, no, that wasn't me. Thanks, Bank of America, for not letting that go through and catching that. Again, I still needed to get a new credit card, but they didn't let it go through. So setting up those alerts is really key. Reviewing your bank statements on a regular basis. I think this is something a lot of us don't do now. I definitely slacked off. Once I started getting those alerts on my phone from every time something was charged, I got a little bit more relaxed with checking my bank statements, because I'm like, well, I know what's coming through. But one of the things I forget is that I also have a savings account that is not alerted me. It's only through my Visa card and my debit cards that I have the alert set up. So a lot of times we tend to forget those little outside accounts we have, a smaller savings account, especially if you have a savings account that's tied to your checking account to help with that overdraft protection. It is very important to review those statements on a regular basis and have those alerts set up. Reviewing your credit card reports for inaccuracy. Again, I want you guys every 4 months, get those free reports from the credit card bureaus. Make sure there's no inaccurate information on there. Do not carry your social security cards with you. My mother, one of those people, maybe just because the era she was born in, she is adamant about keeping her social security card in her purse, and it's been a battle. Keep it at home. You don't want to carry that personal information with you in case your purse gets stolen or you lose it, anything like that. Keep the social security number at home. Definitely keeping copies of your credit cards at home with the phone numbers on the back. Any PIN numbers, definitely helpful in case you do lose your purse or wallet. Avoid using debit cards for online purchases. This has been a really big one lately because a lot of hackers out there are using the scanners that go over the ATM slots or over the gas station pump slots. Again, unfortunately, this happened to my sister. She went to her local ATM to get cash out, and some hacker had put the little slip or the little cover over the ATM, so they were able to get her information. And now her debit card is also tied to her savings. So not only did they wipe out her checking account, but they wiped out the money in her savings account as well, because she had it tied together for overdraft protection. So that is, again, another reason why a lot of companies now are telling people, cut back on using the debit card for purchases if you can. Use your Visas and MasterCards that can easily be reversed with any fraud, and then pay your bill immediately through your regular account if possible. Be creative with your passwords. Absolutely. I think we all know this. And nowadays, a lot of companies are making you create your passwords with a capital letter. It has to be over so many characters. You need to put a number in there and, have a special italicized context in there. So absolutely be creative with your passwords. Don't have the same password for each account. I will tell you, I was very guilty of that because it's just easier. But, easy is what the hackers want. They want you to be a little lax. Once they know that password, more than likely you have it on some other account, and that's just a way for them to get in. Don't respond to phone calls, texts, emails about confirming your information. We should all know that. Again, a lot of people have been using Bank of America, creating fake websites, sending out just mass emails. I get them a couple times a year. We want to confirm the information on your Bank of America account. We think there's some fraud. Click here. Don't click there. We all know that trick now, right? Don't click there. Call your bank. Call the number on the back of the credit card. And then freezing your credit reports is something new that a lot of people have been doing. Freezing your credit report allows you to make sure that any credit check that gets done has to be approved by you first. It's actually something that I have on mine with all 3 credit bureaus. And what it is, again, just a way for me to freeze my report. So if I want to go, for example, open up a Home Depot card, I fill out the application and they check my credit. What's going to happen is Home Depot will not be able to check my credit because I've frozen my account. So then Home Depot is going to let me know, hey, we can't check your account because your account's frozen. Can you open it for us? Each of the credit card bureaus has given me a special ID number that I use. I can go online and unfreeze my report for a certain time. So I can say unfreeze my account for 24, 48, 72 hours. I can put a time frame on it. And then after that's done, it'll immediately lock it back up. It was very helpful when I needed to get a new car. A couple of years ago, I needed to get a new car. I got rear-ended, and working with the dealer that I went to, they said, you know what, we're going to run your account through Equifax. So I'm like, that's perfect. I got online, opened up my Equifax account for 24 hours. They checked my credit, locked it back up the next day. A great way to prevent that identity theft. Usually to unfreeze your account, it costs something. It usually costs like $5. So, if you're going to be getting a house, or you're trying to get your credit together, you might not want to put a freeze on right now. But if you're pretty set in your life, I know I'm not going to be buying a car, buying a house, or opening up any credit cards. I'm pretty secure with that. Go ahead and freeze those reports. Again, if you need to unfreeze them, it's like a $5 charge. But if you're over 65, it is a free service. You don't have to pay anything at all. Lock it up. Again, just ways to protect yourself, because again, identity theft, what does it say? It happens to about 15 million Americans in 2019 went through identity theft. And it is a long process. And for some, it's an expensive process. It costs money, hiring the right people to help defend you and say, hey, you know what, that wasn't me. I didn't open up that account. So definitely think about that. Another thing we look at when preparing or securing our future is emergencies. With retirement planning, I'm definitely always focusing on, the financial emergency. In the past, I've talked about, making sure you have enough money in the emergency fund. That's really important in case my car breaks down or my water heater bursts. I need a place where I can access money quickly to repair those things in my life. So maybe I don't have to dip into my retirement account where there might be taxes and penalties to get that money out. Making sure that you're prepared financially for those emergencies is very important. Medical emergencies, knowing your child's blood type, knowing a parent's ailment that they're going through. My mother is diabetic, and there are 2 types of insulin that she takes certain times of day. So we were on a cruise a couple of years ago, and she got dizzy, kind of collapsed over. And that was one of the first things the doctor asked us when he came down, is like, what medication is she on? What is she taking? And luckily I had it locked into my phone. I was able to tell him, this is what she takes, and this was the last time she ate, and, very quickly was able to help her. But again, you need to be prepared in advance for those medical emergencies, because usually when they happen, your mind goes blank, right? So, again, knowing blood types, or, if somebody's allergic to bees or peas, or, needs an antihistamine shot, having that information kind of in front of you, listed out, is going to be very helpful. Also, if you have kids and maybe you have the babysitter coming over, having all that information listed and kind of posted on the fridge in case something happens, very important. And then the personal emergencies we need to prepare for. What if you have a child that's going to school and it's your job to pick them up? What happens if you can't pick them up from school one day? You have a flat tire, something happens. Who's the next contact? Who's the next person in line that can pick up my child? Making sure that you kind of have that emergency phone tree set up. Also knowing that your child knows who can pick them up is equally as important. Mom and dad, okay, we know that, but Aunt Judy and Uncle Tim, that's it. That's the only people that can pick you up from school. If cousin Charlie comes by, don't get in the car. If cousin Robert comes by, don't get in the car. Knowing who can, kind of step in for you, and also making sure that your children are aware of who can step in for you and help. Very important. So again, that's kind of, as we talk about emergencies, kind of the 3 tiers that you want to think about when preparing. Another thing we talk about, teaching your kids about money, definitely an important thing as you're looking at securing your financial future. You want to make sure you're securing your child's financial future as well. So we do have a brochure that's brought to us by Vanguard. It's called Teaching Kids About Money. I can definitely get that distributed out, but it allows you to look at where your child's at, what age they're at, and have those conversations about money. You want to, make sure that they don't have a fear, or, kind of have some taboo about money. I know in my family, again, I think it's just the generational issue. My mother never talked about money. She never talked about wills or living wills, or, what to do if this happens. You need to prepare your kids. So one of the great things about that brochure is it takes you through different stages: preschool, elementary, starting them off early with play money, or, as we go to the grocery store, this is how this works. Mom has $100, and what are we going to get for $100? And, what happens if the bill goes over $100? Okay, are we going to put something back? Or, as they get a little bit older, that's where you have the credit card conversation. Like, okay, I have $100. The grocery bill is $120. I'm going to put 20 on this credit card, but if I don't pay it off, this is how much extra I'm going to have to pay in interest. Kind of as they get older, kind of folding and opening up that conversation and talking a little bit more about that. And that conversation definitely goes from high school into a college. I know when I was in college, that's when I got a lot of my credit card applications coming into me being pre-approved. You're pre-approved for a Visa for $2,000. You're pre-approved for a Macy's card for $1,000. Definitely having those conversations about money throughout their lifetime, definitely important. So again, I do have that brochure I can get out to you guys. The next thing we look at, how can you prepare for the unexpected? Again, just being aware. Life insurance, a big thing about being prepared. How much life insurance do you need? It is said that you need anywhere from 5 to 7 times your annual income as the proper amount of life insurance. If you are a stay-at-home parent, that is also a job. So you also need your own life insurance policy. There are different types of life insurance for different people with different needs and different budgets. There are term life policies that are a certain time frame, 5, 10, 15 years. There are whole life policies that go beyond that. Looking at disability insurance or long-term care insurance, ways to protect your family, you and your family. These are things that you definitely need to view and consider. Now, I am not by any means telling anybody that you need to go out and buy a $2 million policy, right? But you do need to think about your loved ones and what may happen if you're no longer here, how they're going to make it through, covering the mortgage or covering any expenses if you're the major breadwinner in the family. Preparing also requires you looking at your legal documents. Not the funnest thing in the world to think about, but you do need to protect yourself and your family for the time that you're not going to be here. So putting your wishes in writing is extremely important. Making sure that you've designated who's going to inherit what, especially if you have kids under the age of 18, who's going to be the guardian. If I have a 12-year-old and I have, a $500,000 life insurance policy, I don't want them getting all that money. I might have to have an executor assigned to my estate. So somebody who manages that money until they get of legal age, until they get 18 or 21, where I feel they're comfortable managing their own assets. So again, definitely a quote here, estate planning is more than just taxes. It definitely is a way to protect your assets during your lifetime and to distribute them to the proper people. So definitely make sure you're looking into wills. I will say there are 4 types of wills that most people have. You have your normal will, who says who gets what. You have your living will, in case I'm no longer to make life and death decisions. And with that, if I am no longer able to make those decisions, who's going to make them for me? That's your health directive and then your financial power of attorney. So who's going to make my health decisions and who's going to make my financial decisions? So those are kind of the main 4 that most people have. But definitely look into making sure you have your legal documents all taken care of, signed and notarized, and also have the conversation with your family so they know where they're at. Again, my mother and her generation never talked about it. And, still to this day, she's kind of tight-lipped about where her legal documents are. She's, giving me hints or, giving me some information, but it's important that your family knows where they're at and where to go. Also, assigning primary and contingent beneficiaries, very important. Whoever you have assigned in your will does not necessarily have to be the same person who's on your beneficiary designations. So when it comes to your retirement plan at Chateau, your retirement assets, you'll want to assign who gets those assets if you pass away. Now, if you say in your will, I want my wife to receive my assets, but then you have on your beneficiary designation form, I want my kids to receive my assets if I pass away, there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. So you want to make sure you have some consistency in that. Beneficiaries that you have on your retirement plan do not pass through all of your benefits. So if you have a life insurance policy, whole life, term life, your bank account where you might assign beneficiaries, those don't have to be the same people. So again, you could have different beneficiaries designated on different assets. So once a year, I tend to say once a year, maybe every other year, just make sure that you got the right people on the right forms. And then, my goodness, I didn't even realize I had this slide in here. I'm a little bit more on top of the ball than I thought I was. So again, as I was talking about legal documents, there are 4 that you need. The last will and testament, name who's going to handle your affairs if you pass away, your living will, who's going to take care of your end of life treatment wishes, and then your durable power of attorney, the health directive, who's going to make those healthcare decisions if I can't, and your power of attorney for finances, who's going to take care of my finances if I can't. Last month, I was just on a legal documents call, and one of the things they kind of did a wink and a nod at is that the person that you assign for your health care power of attorney should not be the same person as you assign for your financial power of attorney. The person who can decide whether I live or die, whether the plug gets pulled, maybe should not be the same person who's in charge of my finances. Okay. Becomes a little bit difficult if you're married, but just throwing that out there. For me personally, I am not married and I do not have any kids. And so that is something, that kind of hit home with me. That makes sense. The person who makes those life and death decisions on my health should be a different person than the one who makes the finances. So again, just kind of keeping those in mind as well. So my last section here, how well do you know your retirement plan? Very important when it comes to securing your financial future. Your retirement plan. How much can I contribute? How can I take a distribution? Does my employer match? Can I save with Roth after-tax contributions? So I'm going to say that everybody on the call and everybody who's going to be listening to this recording should know the answer to all of these. If you do not, I'm going to say get online, figure out information about your plan, figure out the answer to these questions. Also, I will say call and talk to somebody at USI. That's what we're here for. Your retirement plan is a great benefit for saving money for your future. There is going to come a day where you no longer want to work, and that's why you're saving in your retirement plan. So you need to know all of the answers to all of these questions to make sure you're saving and investing properly first and taking advantage of your plan. So when it comes to retirement planning, definitely one of the major questions that you ask when it comes to securing your financial future, how much should I be saving? Most advisors say you need to save anywhere from 10 to 15% to be on the right track for reaching a comfortable retirement goal. But I will say over the course of your life, sometimes your contribution is going to be higher. Sometimes it's going to be lower, depending on what's going on. I know I'm 52 and I've had a huge ebb and flow as to how much I can contribute. So one of the things we look at is we kind of take it in milestones. So based on your age, how much should you already have saved? So just looking at this chart right now, I am 52, so I'll just push it to 55. So by the time I'm 55, I should have 7 times my salary saved to be on the right track for a comfortable retirement goal. We do have tools on the website to help you figure that out, which is great. You enter in specific information about yourself. It'll let you know if you're on track, what you need to do to close that gap. But making sure you're contributing the right amount of money is key when it comes to your retirement plan. Next, you have your investments. I'll go through the tools, and now that I know how much I should be saving, where should I invest? Your investment should be based on your time horizon, how long you have until you need the money, what your financial need is, what you want to do in retirement. I plan on traveling. So if you want to join me in Machu Picchu in the Galapagos Islands, absolutely. We're going to have a fabulous retirement, but it's going to be an expensive one. And then our risk tolerance. How much of that up and down movement are we comfortable with? That should really drive where you invest. Again, you have lots of tools online to help you figure all that out. So Future Plan is the administrator for your firm. They give you web access. So under tools, this is where you're going to want to go for the retirement calculators. Enter in specific information about yourself. It'll let you know how much you should be saving. One of the things that I tell people, for those of you who have, been through presentations with me, some of this probably sounds familiar to you, but one of the things that I say is if you're not on track for reaching a comfortable retirement goal, don't panic, set a plan in motion. And for most people, that plan is going to be contribution increases. So it's something that I do in my plan. Once a year, I increase my contribution amount by 1%. That's all I do. 1% to get on track for reaching a comfortable retirement goal. So, I do it on my birthday just because it's easy to remember, June 3rd. So coming up when I turn 53, June 3rd, I will increase my contribution amount by 1%. Next year, I'll go up another 1%. The year after that, I'll go up to 1%. Again, it is the easiest way that I found to slowly get on track for reaching a comfortable retirement goal. Helpful tips. So to wrap up, one of the things that I do like to remind people is throughout your career, you're going to have a lot of things that you're going to need to do, not only with the retirement planning and, making sure you have the proper amount of insurance and making sure those legal documents get taken care of. There really is no one person that can help you with all that. It's going to take a team. So some of these people you might need, some you might not. But first and foremost, having a financial professional. They're going to be the ones that help you answer that question. Am I saving enough? Am I investing properly? One of the things to keep in mind with USI, we have registered investment advisors available. So it's our job to help you answer those questions. Again, you're going to have tools on the website, but if you do want to talk to somebody, we're definitely here to help you with that. But for us, our scope of guidance is limited to what you have in the Chateau plan. So you might be somebody who has money saved outside of your retirement plan. Maybe you have a brokerage account at Charles Schwab or Edward Jones, or maybe you have a spouse or partner and they have money saved outside. And you say, you know what, I want to look at both of us collectively to see, if we're going to have enough, can we have the house paid off by the time we get ready to retire? Any of those questions. That is where a certified financial planner comes into play. They're the ones that are going to look at everything and give you that holistic approach as to, all in what you have in your retirement account, your savings account, what you and your spouse have. If you plan on having your house paid off, this is what you're going to have collectively to get on the right track to reaching a comfortable retirement goal. There is a website that you can go to if you are at that point in your life where you feel like, okay, I need to start talking to a certified financial planner and looking at everything that I have. There's a website, cfp.net, listed right there on the screen. That will give you a list of board certified financial planners in your area. You look by zip code. It gives you a little bio of the planner in your area. And then you can determine if you want to set up an appointment to talk with them and, kind of get that guidance. A lot of them offer an hour free consultation just to figure out if it's going to be a good fit or, are they somebody that can help you? Or maybe at this point in your life, you really do just need to be dealing with your retirement plan advisor and letting them guide you. So they can definitely help you with that. Some other people you might need, accountants or CPAs, definitely when it comes to your taxes. Within your retirement plan, you do have the ability to save with pre-tax and Roth after-tax dollars. Great, great benefit. So now let's say you've been saving in both and you're getting ready to retire. How do you start to take that money out that is going to be a tax advantage for you? How much should I be taking out of the pre-tax bucket and how much should I be taking out of the Roth bucket so that I'm paying the least amount of taxes every year? That's where your accountants or your CPAs are going to come into plan. Insurance planners. Do I have enough life insurance? Do I have enough disability insurance? Do I even need long-term care insurance? What's long-term care insurance and do I need it? Your insurance planners are going to be able to help you with that. And then last, attorneys for your legal documents, wills, living wills, durable powers of attorney. Maybe you need some other documents. Maybe you have a child with special needs and you need to set up a trust for them. Definitely your attorneys can help with that. So again, seek that expert advice where it is needed in your life. So to wrap up my last slide here, again, Future Plan is the administrator for your plan. So you do have web access where you can view your account 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Future plan is going to be the ones that you call if you have questions about your plan. How much can I put in? How can I get money out? Can I roll over money into my plan? If you have questions about your quarterly statements, if you have questions about the website, they're going to be the ones that you call. USI, where I am from, is the advisor to your plan. So we handle the investments. Should I be changing where I'm investing? Am I taking enough risk? I'm getting closer to retirement. Should I become more conservative? The market's going crazy. We have a Ukrainian crisis. We have inflation that's going up. We have high gas prices. The Fed is getting ready to raise interest rates. All that being said, the market's volatile. What should I be doing in this market? That's where you're going to call us. Okay. So our contact information is there. And again, that's where I say at least once a year, you should be talking to an advisor, touching base to make sure you're saving enough and investing properly. So not only am I investing properly, but should I be making any changes, or, should I be staying where I'm put and focusing on the long term? So again, hopefully you guys have all of our contact information. You guys should be very familiar with USI. I do definitely receive some calls from employees at Chateau asking about their investments. So just want to make sure that you guys all are fully aware you are not in this alone. If you do have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. So that is my presentation. Again, this is being recorded for individuals who are not able to make the call. I am going to ask before we stop the recording, does anybody have any questions? Or Stacy, April, Angel, is there anything you guys want to add into this?
This is Stacy, and no, I don't have any questions or anything, but that was very informational. I really appreciate you spending the time and giving us this fabulous webinar.
All right, perfect. So again, you guys have our information, and if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And actually, I'm gonna ask that you can go ahead and end the recording, and then I'll answer any offline questions. Thank you.